was like, right, let's go for some more. And then I've gone and got, yeah, 1.4 million it is now. Because if you're not mentally ready, even if you pass, you
just
get a big
Venmo me the
payout.
5K. Send me
Yeah,
an
I'll
Albert
have
the
it
5K.
instead.
Please. I will do better with it than you will on that challenge. I promise. Yes.
That is the thing. A lot of traders are stuck in their ways and they just think it's the system all the time. The goal shouldn't be with trading to just go full time, because the reality is full-time trading, I'm not trying to piss on anyone's chips, but it's actually really boring.
What's up, traders? Welcome to the Day Trading Show. If you're new, my name is Austin Silver. I'm your host, and I really appreciate you being here. Today, I sit down with Albert Burgess. Albert is a trader from the UK. He's a phenomenal trader, but an even better man. He shares a ton of great insight when it comes to trading psychology, getting funded. He's funded with over $500,000. He even talks to us about going from retail to institutional with his hedge fund journey that he's going on. So a ton of great insights in this episode. I think you guys are going to really, really love it. Now, before we get into that, I got to remind you, we do have space in the Black Shirt Club for new traders. Not much space right now, but I do have space if you're looking to work with me, Tom, James, and Evan, our team of funded traders. Click the link down below. It says mentorship. Book a call with me and let's see if the Black Shirt Club is a good fit. We'd love to have you come on board with us going into the end of 2023. So now that the housekeeping is done, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes, and enjoy my conversation with Albert. All right, everybody, we are back. I'm sitting down with Albert Burgess, all the way from UK. Albert, you said you're right outside London, so we're kind of familiar with the area. Where outside London are you coming in from today?
So Gatwick Airport, some people might be familiar with that. Very busy airport, single runway, about 30 minutes into London. So yeah, not too far.
Easy, easy. Well, listen, bro, I really appreciate you joining us. I'm looking forward to this. You were actually really recommended, bro. Let's start with this because I think it says a lot about you. It actually started when I posted a tweet because of the seminar in London. And I said, who do I need to connect with in London? And I had seen your content through your YouTube videos and through your Instagram, because your Instagram, like your aesthetic of your page, I really like the way you post your content.
Appreciate
so
that.
I had already kind of seen you there, but then Dan Chung mentioned you and a couple other people tweeted at me and said, you got to sit down with Albert. You got to sit. So kudos to you, bro. That says a lot.
That.
You know what I mean?
Appreciate that, man. I've just tried to be honest, real, and share what it's like in this game, because there's too much fluff. So it's about time people just spread the message, right?
Bro, and that's why my audience, trusts me to bring guys like you to them. And I hope that we bring you a lot of new attention today with this interview. So this is going to be good. So really quick, since I'm sure some of my audience doesn't know how long you've been trading and things like that, can you give us like the 30,000 foot view of you and how long you've been trading, how you got into it and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, of course. So I've been trading for coming up 7 years now. So I've been trading nearly 7 years. The first 3 years was the typical people approaching you on Instagram, signal, sign up to my broker, the usual thing, right? I think we've all been there. I was in a poor financial situation. I was a parent. Well, I am a parent, still am. And I guess kind of got preyed on the fact that I was broke and seeing these people with Rolexes and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, whoa, there's some secret stuff here. So I fell into it like that. And to be honest, for 3 years, it was kind of just going back and forth of new people I discovered, signals, having a little dabble, but I had no idea what I was doing. Obviously then I decided to take it pretty seriously, sort of 2020, just kind of when COVID crept in, to be honest. That was when I really went, right, let's go for this. I was able to work from home for a period of time. And then obviously from there, kind of just, it wasn't easy. I'm still on the journey, but to give some context, I'm trading 600K in funding capital. I have 1.2 million in challenges and verifications running, and I'm currently on simulation with a hedge fund towards the high 7 to 8 figures in capital. So it's been a very big kind of up and coming journey, but it's one that has had many ups and downs, one that I've still got plenty to learn, plenty to figure out. And, I have those days still where I'm like, shit, man, what are we doing? Like I'm in a position, something will happen. And I'm like, how do I deal with this? So I think for me, that's the long and short of it. Obviously, there's much more to get into, which I'm sure we will. But without boring people, very focused on retention. That's kind of the picture, man.
That's great, bro. It's great information. And it's great to have somebody who is actually kind of taking the funded, and this is because I wanted to talk to somebody about this, taking like the funding challenge stuff and correct me if I'm wrong, but like going hedge fund route is really going like retail to institutional rather than institutional to retail, which is like the traditional path. You know what I mean? From the guys would go work 30 years at a fund like Crudeli or whatever, work on the floor, and then they would break off and go retail on their own. But you're kind of going the other way, which a lot of guys like Kyle, like Jade Cap, he's been talking about that too. So before we jump in with that, because we'll come back to that, let's just talk about some of the funding stuff, because I know that you have seen my content, you know, I'm funded, you know, I really push the whole funding thing to my audience because I had a post about it today. One of the biggest issues is undercapitalization. So talk to us a little bit about like how you got into the funding company stuff. And was that like, because that wasn't from the beginning, you've been trading longer than funding companies have even been a thing. Like when we got, because bro, I've been trading 8 years. When we got into trading, you remember everybody thought FTMO was a scam, right?
Yeah. I was one of the people who was like, it can't be true.
Can't be true. Right. And now look at it, bro. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, bro. It's honestly, I always say this to people, you know, there's people that like to kind of bash prop firms, and I'm very big on saying without prop firms, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in. Hands up, I wouldn't be in this position because they have allowed me to get the capitalization and use it as a tool to then grow and diversify. And one thing to throw in here, when I actually took this leap and was and kind of went full time, if you like, and kind of left my job, which I don't recommend in the way that I did it, I was in £40,000 worth of debt, and prop firms allowed me to clear the lot. You know, I'm completely debt free. Cleared that back in 2021.
Good for you,
at the time, bro, I was just credit cards. As a parent, you don't want to like let the kids down. You know, I was in a bad situation, right?
Of course.
So when they
wait real quick, you say it's a bad situation, but that, at least in America, bro, that's how like majority of people.
It's normal, right? It is normal.
Sad, but normal.
It's and it's something that I think a lot of people have related to and I've mentioned because they're in the similar boat. And the thing for me was, you know, seeing prop firms and rather than, I'm always someone that's very optimistic. So rather than seeing something and going, what's the downside to this? What's the risk? I'm also like, I have a quote, it's actually tattooed on me. Some people might think it's cringe, but I always say, take the risk, lose the chance. It's something that I believe is very important, even in trading in general, right? You could be eyeing up a position. If you don't take the risk, then the chance is gone. And it was kind of the same with this prop firm thing. It was like, what's the worst? You put $400 or $500 in, you lose it. Okay, cool. Like, you know, it is what it is. I've been doing that for 3 years in broker accounts, following some guy's signals. So what's the difference?
Right.
So seeing that, it really led me to think, right, I need to knuckle down here and I need to actually understand what is trading, because I think a lot of people struggle to understand, like, what even is trading? What does it mean? How does it work? And can you actually make it a thing? Is it a thing? Because you're shown these lifestyles. And again, I always say we're shown highlight reels online of what people want you to see, but you never see the stuff behind the scenes. And at the time, I was a guy who was a parent, a partner, broke, struggling, but I knew there was a way out. I just had to find the way. And stumbling onto prop firms was that way, because as soon as I saw the model, and I think back then FTMO was a 70-30 split, if I remember. When I saw the model, I was like, oh, this is game time. It just lit a rocket up my ass, because I was like, I can't now sit there and moan about not having enough capital, because somebody is saying, well, here you go. You've got the capital. You just need to pay 500 quid and we'll give it back to you. Like, I'm like, wait, what? You'll give me it back? Right. So that was kind of when when was this? This was sort of mid 2020. You're talking June time, 2020. Okay. Yeah. So I did what most people did. I bought my first FTMO, and dude, I sent that to the graveyard. Like, bro, it was gone.
You and everybody else. I recently just had Tori Trades on the podcast, bro. She's never blown an account, bro. Never blown an account.
Amazing.
Isn't that crazy? I'm like, I could literally write a book about how many blown accounts, whether it was my $100 Trader's Way accounts or the first funding challenge you take, and then you break the rules because you don't know whatever, never. So I thought that was amazing. But I'm the same way as you, bro. The first funded account, it's like you're learning the ropes of it, And I actually tell people now, like, if you're really serious about the funding stuff, there's nothing wrong with we'll talk more about this, but using like a copier and starting with a smaller 100K account.
I do the same thing, man.
Okay, perfect. So keep going.
Yeah. So obviously, to begin with, it was a case of, all right, I need to find profitability, because I very quickly realized I can't just risk 3% and hope it works, because there's a verification and then there's a live account phase. Like, you can't. And I think a lot of traders fall into this, unfortunately. And again, it might sound horrible, and anyone listening, don't take it with offense, but I'm very to the point. And I think when you're getting these funded challenges, if you are not physically prepared to do them, you are being a little bit silly doing it. Now, I know that might sound like hypocritical because I did that, but learn from my mistake, right? Because you could spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds, dollars, whatever it is, if you're not positioned to trade with a technical edge, but then a mental edge, which is so important, and then understanding risk management, you're not going to pass. And even if you pass the challenge, guess what? You've got to do it again. And then you've got to do it again just to get your money back. And I think those 3 hurdles, look, let's not get twisted, right? Prop firms understand the model. It's a great business model. They know what they're doing, and they know that many traders can't compose themselves. And obviously at the time, FTMO was 10%, right? So 10%, 5%, you've got the trading days, you had all that sort of stuff. So it wasn't something easy, but I'll never forget when I passed the challenge. And again, this was when I was probably quite emotional. I was walking up and down my hallway, as you do, watching MT4 at the time. I was doing some steps. It was raining, and I was like, right, I need to get some steps in. I'm going to watch this trade. And I think Boris Johnson said something I was in a GU short, and Boris Johnson said something, and it just melted. And I'll never forget it hitting TP, passed, and I like flicked my slipper and sent it to the tumble dryer, like in the hallway, smashed the front of it. But I was so happy. And I
just
called
so excited as you passed the
I've
challenge.
done it.
Right. I mean, but that's part of the highs that come with it. But then like now you're at the point where you've got multiple challenges, but you had to pass that first one. It's a big hurdle.
100%.
A lot of the guys, I see them, they'll pass the first one and then they'll have 2 or 3 accounts within the next 6 months, but it's getting over that first hurdle that takes some time.
Yeah.
And like you said, it used to be 10%, which going back to kind of what we said at the beginning, like when you and me were looking at this, at least I was taught 10% in a month is an incredible month. So if you're out there as this firm saying you have to make 10% in a month, making it seem like any old Joe can do it, it made it look a little bad. Now everybody's like unlimited trading days, lower profit targets, and that's what competition does. It makes it amazing. So now how did you kind of catch us from like that first challenge to now, like you said, 600 in funding with over $1 million in challenges in rotation? Because I'm sure people are thinking, is he using a trade copy, or kind of give us the overview of that? What's up, traders? The best way to learn how to trade is not through a trading course. I sell a course that teaches my strategies, and I'm telling you that honest advice. The best way to really learn how to trade is to watch experienced traders with proven track records navigate the live market. Now, when I got started as a trader, I was able to watch one of Wall Street's best traders live for a full day, just one day. And it made a huge impact on my trading. I still use some of the principles that he shared that day today, 6 years later. So now as I've built my reputation and my brand as a trading coach, I want to turn and give the trading community something back. We've started the Netflix for traders. It's called ASFX TV. It's now only $10 per month. It's the same price as Netflix, basically, where you can come and watch me and 3-4 other full-time traders navigate the markets live. And again, this is the best way for you to learn how to trade. You'll see us take trades. You'll be able to participate in some of them if you'd like. It's never financial advice. I have to be very clear about that. It's for entertainment purposes only, but you're going to actually see how a real full-time trader navigates the London session and New York session every day of the week. So click the link down below in the description. Maybe there's a card flying in on the screen. Take the 3-day free trial. Check it out. See if you're interested. You don't just get the live streams, you actually get to watch the recordings of any streams that you missed as well. So it's a no-brainer. For $10 a month, it's a no-brainer. So check it out. Link down below. Now back to the video.
Yeah. So obviously I've always advocated this for a long time now. At one point, so just to go back, that was a 100K account. Once I passed that, I kept that account for, I think, a month. I don't even think I got my money back. I think I blew it. And then I was like, okay, I got a bit of work to do. And I actually, in that process, changed my technical system because I've realized the system I was using, going back to the 10%, it was very rare to see a 10% month. So I was either over risking, which is what led me to blowing it. Because at the time, look, back then, anyone that's followed me for a long time, I didn't understand risk management still. My mindset wasn't great. I'd get in my way and I'd do a lot of stuff. And I've done so many hours of work on this. But then I ended up getting a 140K account. And this is when they brought out the GBP account. So I got the 140K and I pretty much had that for, I want to say, over a year and like 2 months, where I was just consistently monthly. My vision was get paid, get it in my account, clear my debt. That was the go-to. It was like, how can I get rid of this debt? Because it was looming over my head. I was paying extortionate payments. I was like, let's get gone. So what I would do is if I was 2-3% up for a month, I'd just be like, withdraw. I would stop trading and I would just set my profit split day and I would withdraw. And that was what I did for a long time.
For all the traders that are listening, sorry to interrupt you, but just, if you're listening, don't overlook what he just said. If you are funded, and especially if you are negative in your trading endeavor so far, you definitely need that first refund. You definitely need to ensure the first couple of payouts. And if you can bump yourself up 2-3% in the first month, the second month, I mean, you put up 10% across 3 months. That's incredible with a funded account.
Exactly. And
Nobody's
this is the
doing that.
thing,
Very
right?
small group of people. Yeah.
100%. So I always had this thing of, you can't go broke getting paid. And at the end of
No.
the day, I was broke. So I was like, well, if I get paid, I'm not going to be broke, right? And that
Right.
logic for me, some people would laugh. They'd be like, oh, you could make 10%, 15%. I was like, I could, but I'm quite content with this because I want to go at scale. I don't want to rush. I don't want to get in
100%.
over my head. And I'm
Yeah.
seeing figures that I came from a job earning sort of 35K a year. So seeing some of these figures in a click of a button, and I'm at home and I'm like, yo, this is quite mad, like
100%. 100%.
this first payment lands when you're going through the FTMO and you click like withdraw and you pull the lot and you're just like, yo, then you get the new
Right.
login details and you're just like, let's go again. And that was the system. It was just about going again, going again. However, what happened for me then was when it came to scale, due to the way I was trading a lot of lower time frame stuff, small stops, things like this. And when it came to scaling, I got an email from FCMO saying your lot size is too big. We're going to take your account off you. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? And it was because sometimes I was putting down 120, 130 lots on an EU position with a 2-1 pip stop. And, they probably think I'm just getting in, trying to get a couple of pips, close it. And, people do that, right? And again, nothing against that, but they will clock onto that, of course. So I had to, again, kind of transition a little bit, change a few things. And in that period, I actually ended up losing that account, which I'd kept for so long. I'd gone down so low. I'd gone to the 5-second time frame at this point, which for anyone listening, yes, I said 5 seconds.
That's crazy.
It's like reading Braille and I don't recommend
Right.
it.
Literally, bro. That was a good say.
It was crazy. And that was when I lost the account. However, I documented on my YouTube channel, there's a video where I say I lost it, but then I documented getting it back. And what I did is, I realized I needed to change a few things. And from there onwards, then it's just been about growth. And my realization came when I was like, hang on a minute, you can make 2 to 3% a month quite comfortably. I don't want to sound arrogant here. I have drawdown months, I have break-even months, but I can make 2-3% quite easily, right? If I can do that, why don't I just get more capital and then the money would be more, right? And this is when I had that revelation of like, shit, dude, like there's an opportunity now for you to just go for it. What are you doing sitting with this 140K account? And obviously I'd gone back, I got 100K. And then from there, I just bought 100Ks. I got the refund, 100K, refund, 100K, refund, doing it like that. And then I diversified a little bit, different firms. And then from there, literally this start of this year, I was like, right, let's go for some more. And then I've gone and got, I think 1.2, 1.4 million it is now.
Are you trading them as individual accounts, or are they all on a copier?
So
it
they're
all can
all
be
on
the
a
same
copier.
That's awesome.
So
I
trade it. I want to trade it as one pot. So when it's live, I want to be trading as though I've got 1.6, 1.8, 2 million, right? I want to be trading it like that. So for me, it was like, okay, I need to find a way to do this effectively. So what I've done is I've got a demo account, just a 100K demo. Again, because it's a number I'm comfortable with, I'm very used
make
to
$1,000, make $2,000 a day. It's 2%, and then
it's
you just don't even have to think about because if you take drawdown on $2 million, not many people are going to be used to seeing drawdown. 100%, bro. Your drawdown is going to be $20,000, $30,000.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, how can I contain this? So 100K demo, it's nice as well because if you're tracking that account for journaling, for example, it's the same account because a lot of these firms you get paid and you get a new account, right? So it kind of messes up the whole tracking. So you've got that account, and then I just copy everything I do on that account. I copy to all my accounts, and literally simultaneously, whatever happens on one happens on the other. So if I close out or I hit TP or I hit stop loss, it will automatically shut the rest, which for me has been a game changer because I haven't got to sit here on my phone or on Trade Assistant on my laptop trying to log in, log out. It's a recipe for disaster. And if you're trying to manage that kind of scale of money, you want the easiest way to do it. You want the less resistance. If you've got to log in and out 7 times,
dude,
something's going to go wrong.
Your slippage is going to be crazy, bro.
Yeah. So for me, I highly, highly recommend trade copiers. I think they're an absolute godsend. Obviously, get one that has been around, that can function. Always try it out on a demo first. If you're unsure with the settings, make sure you just get on the support with these people. They're pretty friendly and they'll give you the advice. And then just go from there. And the beauty of it is if I get any more accounts, I can just go add it.
That's it.
And you just got to add more accounts to your your copier, which I mean, even if you're paying out, I think I'm paying like $150 for the copier,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I've got like 12 accounts on there.
Bro, that's minimal fucking cost.
It's
People
nothing.
used to pay $10 a trade each way back in, like, you know what I mean? Like, even
Exactly.
it was worse than
Yeah.
that, I'm sure, at one point. No, that's really good information, bro, just to kind of get an understanding of like your business and what you're looking to do with this. So for someone who is looking to, let's go and say like they've passed their first funding challenge and they're looking to scale. Do you have any direct advice to that person versus the guy who is brand new and hasn't passed the first challenge yet?
Yeah, I would say that the ultimate thing, right? We've briefly already touched on it, but the most important thing with these challenges is getting risk off the account, because
Okay.
if it owes you nothing, in my opinion, there should be no attachment, right?
100%.
It's a free investment. So
Yep.
I always say to everyone, and again, things have changed now, obviously, where some of these firms are paying out in a lot quicker and whatnot. But let's just say you've got the account, it's live. You're like, right, first trade, you win. No matter what your ego says, and no matter what greed says, and no matter what social media says, and just because Forex Smasher 69 has shown you he's made 100 grand online, make sure you literally lock that account, whether you delete it off your phone or you delete it off your laptop or your PC or whatever, and just get that refund. Because then you've gone and got risk off the account. You've proved to yourself, because there'll be an underlying kind of element of imposter syndrome that says, is this real? Is this a thing? So
Always. Yeah.
you've proved that, right? You've shown yourself, you've got your money back. And then with that money, get another account, get the trade copier set up. If you go, say you had 100K and you decide to buy 200K, now you might run into the numbers are bigger. So rather than worry about it, get the demo and do exactly what I said. Put the demo as the master, and the demo could look, it could be £1,000 demo. It doesn't have to be 100K. If you don't want to see big numbers and you're someone that's really struggling with that still, then just put a grand demo on and be like, I'm comfortable with 100 quid here or 10 quid here or whatever it might be. And then just let it copy. You don't have to check them. You don't even need to be really logged into these accounts on your phone, because the copy is doing it for you.
Right.
Job done, right? And then I would literally take the money, same process, get your money back. The key here is self-accountability and not getting giddy. It's very easy to get giddy. And you say you pass the 200, you're like, I've got 300. I'm holding this trade. I'm not taking a payout. And then you're like, oh, I've lost it all. And look, the one thing I want to get across here as well is losing it all. It's not the end of the world. You can go again. They don't ban you, right? So what you've got to do is you've got to ask yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen? I lose my account. Okay, well, I can get another one. Now, I'm not saying go crazy like some people buying hundreds of challenges, but what I am saying is, if that's the worst case and you know you're consistent and profitable, just stick to that. Because if you get to 7 figures and then you're doing 2-3% months, boom, 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 20, 30K months, bro, where are you getting that from in a job that you can apply online and do what we do?
Not only that, right? Work from home, have your own hours, right? Nowhere. No, it's very few things. You'd have to start your own Amazon business, or it would be
It'd be
entrepreneurial.
crazy.
That's it. Right.
200-300K a year.
But nobody has the long-term vision for that, bro. What you just described,
no.
that whole process of scaling and getting funded at that point and then setting up this business properly, most people don't have the patience for that. You know what I mean? Isn't it crazy how quick people want success from trading, yet it's so valuable when you do reach the level of the 10, 20, 30 grand per month? You know what I mean?
Delayed gratification, I feel like in this day and age, has gone. No one wants to wait anymore. Everybody wants to just go, well, I did this, so I want this. But it's like, that's why I'm very honest when I'm like, this took me 7 years. Now, I'm not saying it will take you 7 years, because you could argue now is the best time to be a trader.
Yeah, because you can learn from so many other people.
We can share what we've done. And if you genuinely go, actually, that makes sense, I'm going to try that, you'll see a quicker growth than us. You'll be like, boom,
100%.
But you've got to have the long vision. And I always say this to people. If I said to you, right, I'm going to give you 7 figures to trade with, but you've got to wait 3 months, but you're guaranteed the 7 figures, most people would go, okay, sounds like a good deal, right? But that's what's been given to us, but you're not willing to wait. And now with no time limit, if you're a trader that can't hit 10% or 8% and you've had to always over leverage and over risk, right now, you can just go, well, if it takes me a year, well, at the end of the year, I'm going to have that account. I know I can make money on it. And those 2 to 3%, yeah, on 100K, you might be like, oh, it's 2-3K. But if you've got another income or you've still got a job and you're making 2-3K on the side, you'll very quickly be like, I can build up an emergency fund. I've got behind me money. If I want to go full-time or reduce my hours to part-time, well, I'm unable to do that. But in the process of that, I've also just added another 400K to my portfolio.
Exactly.
Now I'm making 15K, like it can snowball very quick. But I think you've got to be willing to take your time. But this is where, for me, the mindset is paramount. You've got to have no ego. You've got to understand everybody starts and they're all at different stages. Some people will pick it up quicker than you, some people won't. You've got to be able to look at the image you hold of yourself and your identity. And, you know, if you're broke already, trading preys on those people. It's why gambling is so effective to people. And trading is a form of gambling. If you think we're just calculated risk managers, but at the same time, you're saying to people, well, if you risk this 1,000, you might make 3,000. And people are like, oh, it sounds amazing. But you've got to look at it long term. Like for me now, when I'm pushing the button, and especially with this hedge fund, I know the risk of me doing that. It's not a game. It's serious money. And I have someone to answer to who's vetting what I do. I can't just be like, oh, well, you know, I felt like doing it. It made sense at the time, because they're going to be like, dude, you need to explain your actions. What are you doing? You're risking 20K a position. Or, no, like, but at the same time, risking that position, you're going to reduce your risk anyway. Let's say you risk half or 0.25 on that scale, but you can do it in the most comfortable manner where you're not going to blow these accounts. And this is what I say to everybody. If you've got 7 figures, let's just say 1 million, you've got 1 million on the table and you're risking 0.25 on it, you're never going to blow it, but you're still going to make a good enough income that you can probably become very financially independent from it and get the freedom that we're all after, which is inevitably the goal, right? It's the freedom, time with the family, time with friends, location freedom. And I think that if you look at it like that and you actually put it on paper and you work out, what do I need for freedom? And this is where like the why, I try not to tangent too much, but I get passionate about this stuff.
No, you're good. I follow you.
This is where like the why is important as well.
It's so
if
true.
You've got a strong why.
Yeah.
And you think about that why every day, and then you go, right, to achieve the why, see it as a spider diagram. What do I need to achieve the why? Oh, I need to be earning 10K a month. Okay, so what do I need to do to earn 10K a month? Oh, I just need like 400K in funding. Okay, so what do I need to get for? And before you know it, you've planned it out like a business plan. Treat this as if you were going to an investor with a business plan. If you map all that out, you'll realize how easy it can be, emphasis on easy, to obtain that freedom. However, people are looking at it as, I need a 100K account and I've got to make 50% a month. And oh my God, you don't need to do that. You really
and I got
to
trade from my phone and I and I don't need to track my trades. They have gambler habits mixed into what we're trying to do as professionals.
Exactly. And I think if you can look at it in a bigger picture and you can really analyze what it is that this game can offer, but what it is you have to do and what it's going to ask of you. Because look, it's not easy. I know I've said the word easy a few times, but there's emphasis on that, because when you get good at it, it feels easy, but you've spent years dedicating to that. But at the same time, if you were to have a day off and not do the habits perhaps that you do, you'll very quickly fuck up and the market will smoke you, right? So you have to stay sharp. No matter where you get to, the ego is your enemy and you have to keep it at bay. And I promise you, everybody listening, when I dropped my ego and I actually embarked on really fixing my mindset, I just went.
How do you do that?
Until I did that.
Yeah,
so I actually went to
Albert went to an ayahuasca journey in Brazil or something like that. And then he came back.
I did a yoga retreat, man.
Is that it?
No. So I was always fond of, like, you know, podcast, books and all this sort of stuff, and they're incredible. But there was a lot of things that I was ignoring, and I ended up making a decision to join a mindset program called Rewired, which I've spoken about a lot on my channel. And the concepts in that really changed a lot for me. They really made me realize things like self-image. Oh man, that triggered so much. So to give a bit of context, I actually left home very early. I was about 15 and I lived with my mum and my stepdad, and we never really saw eye to eye at the time, and we fell out, and I hadn't spoken to him for 15, 16 years perhaps, and not 15, about 13 years, something like that. And Rewired actually got me to reach out to him and say sorry. Like, genuinely, it made me realize that there was an element of it that was holding me back. There was things there that I hadn't put at bay,
and you had to squash
and doing that. Yeah, I had to squash. And we speak every couple of weeks now. We chat. He's into business. I have a lot of the same habits and traits. He worked for himself, and that's where I got that drive to work for myself, was from watching him every day do it. So going through that program, and I mean, I went through it for a long period, over and over, daily. It really helped me shape a new identity, a new image. It made me unlock a lot of things that I didn't know were a thing. And I had an ego where I thought, because my channel, I was quite mindset orientated at the time. I thought I kind of had it on lock. Dude, this thing just exposed so much. And I was like, well, I can either listen or I can keep the ego up. But when I dropped it, I've just gone. And anyone that might have watched me from pre-rewired, people message me going, dude, you're confident. It's like, even to the point I lost like 20 kilos in weight. I got fit, I got healthy. Like, just my mood, my missus says to me all the time, like, you're so happy. I don't get annoyed by things that I used to. I won't get involved in drama online, because there's a piece in there that's like, if you're having a conversation with someone that's that unintelligent, you shouldn't be having the conversation. And like, just these little things where I'm like, yo, like, yeah. And since I did that, it just took me to that next level. And that's why I'm such an advocate for mindset,
Right.
because without that pivotal point, I'd probably still be where I was. And that's something I can put my hands up and admit to. And
You
I
had to
think,
shift.
yeah. And I think what a lot of traders do that I did different is I did something different.
Yes.
That is the thing. A lot of traders are stuck in their ways and they just think it's the system all the time.
They think the answer's on the chart.
Yeah. And the reality of it is, look, I'm not saying you don't need good technicals, because you do. And I would not advocate for bad technicals, but they're not the only thing that are going to lead you to get into the profitability that you need. And I think if more emphasis was put on that at the beginning, I perhaps would have had an easier journey. But I'm thankful because it's got me to where I am and it's taught me some really valuable lessons.
Even if
there's
a
lot to unpack there, man.
No, but it's good. I follow the whole thing. Even if it was positioned to you that way when you first got into trading, I don't think either of us would listen to it, because when you first get into trading, you don't give a shit about mindset, bro. You think the answer is all on the charts. You go looking through strategy, YouTube videos, courses, you're looking for strategy, when at the end of the day, and I would say, bro, even if you go back to me or you 3-4 years ago, we probably still weren't at the level we're at now. Not that
100%.
we are masters of psychology, but we understand how important proper psychology is. And like, I could speak, and I'd like to, because you said you've had some bumps in the road. One of the ones that I'm kind of going through still right now is I lost my dad 2 months ago. And since then, bro, haven't been able to trade really at all with focus. I've been extremely distracted with helping my mother handle all the affairs she has to handle. Plus, my son was born a week or two before my dad passed. So I had all of this shit going on outside of my trading. So I just stopped. Instead of me forcing trading and trying to make money where I probably would have lost, I just pulled myself away. So it's helped me, as years have gone on, to understand that psychology is important. And one of the aspects of psychology is knowing when you're on your A game versus knowing when you're not, and pulling yourself away when you're not, just avoiding those losses. Because then, like you said 100%. Already, the wins just will compound and that long-term vision comes to fruition, right? So talk to us about, because I want to hear about, you mentioned already in that last go there, you said about leaving the job was a little bumpy. So I want to hear about like the story when you left versus what you would recommend to people, because I have a similar story.
I think this would be great.
Okay, let's start there. Let's go there first. Okay. No, let's start there.
So,
I'd like to.
So back 2020, I was working. It's funny as well. So I was working on the railway, pretty much replacing the train tracks. That was pretty much the role. It was a night shift job, and it's funny because I'd always wanted the job, and I'd spent ages getting it, and then I got it, and I was like, this sucks, man. Like, it's swinging a hammer around,
bro,
you're in the rain.
Yes, bro.
Dude, horrible.
You feel like a badass doing physical jobs for like 3 days, and then you hurt yourself where it's hot and cold or wet. And you're like, all right, this sucks. Right.
I'm out.
Right.
So there was a guy there, his name was Colin, and he's about 70. And I remember speaking to him. He was in the van one day, and he said to me, he said, Alb, he said, you're better than this. He said, don't be like me. He said, I'm still paying my mortgage. I'm working overtime. I'm working all the shifts I can. I'm trying to provide for my kids so they've got something when I go. Bro, don't be like me.
You're giving me chills right now, bro.
Bro, I was like, this is my calling. And I've always been someone, and I can't.
The universe does that, bro. It'll drop people in your life. And sometimes you don't realize it until, so good for you for picking up on that.
It was just, and I was just like, whoa. And I've always been this person that's like, if I'm not happy with something, I would rather have uncertainty than unhappiness. I'm very big on, I need to be happy. I'm a father.
You only got one life.
Dude, I've got one life. I lost my father when I was about 8, and I know how that can feel in a transition. And I want to make sure for the kids that the image because the image that he presented was an image that I adopted and had to rewire. And I don't want to give the kids the wrong image because I'm so aware of it now. So I was like, you know what, I've got to do something about this. So this was in the time when I was doing this FTMO. And I was like, oh, you know what, I need to get out so I can put more time into it. But at the same time, I was like, I'm in debt and I kind of don't know what I'm doing. So I actually started an eBay, Amazon dropshipping business, which became enough to kind of replace their salary. So I decided one day, I messaged my boss and I looked at it. It's funny, I actually looked back, August 2020, I messaged him and said, I quit, dude. I'm gone. I'm leaving. I'm going to figure this shit out. And the problem with that was it applied monumental pressure,
Of
because
course. You cut it all
rather
off.
than,
You just
yeah,
jumped off the
rather than
boat, bro.
have the job, the side hustle and trading,
And
I just
right.
went side hustle, trading, I'll be good. But what happened there, the side hustle wasn't fully established, started losing revenue. It wasn't consistent. Everybody was undercutting each other because it was COVID times. I was like, I'm not making any margins. And then I started to be like, yo, I'm starting to like lose money. But that pressure, and I always think you need some, because it lights a rocket up you. If you've got the why and the pressure's there, you're like, I was looking at my little one day and I was like, I'm not going to let you down. There's no way I'm going to be one of them dads like, sorry, but it can't happen. So that was when I was like, let's go. And that was when I just spent hours of charts, really contributing time to the trading and the art of trading. And look, I managed to get through it without too much mindset stuff at the time. I was aware of it, but not to the level I am now. But if I was to go back, always say, if you can keep your job, as long as you can do it, the goal shouldn't be with trading to just go full time, because the reality is full time trading, I'm not trying to piss on anyone's chips, but it's actually really boring.
It's
There's
so
not a lot
boring,
going
bro.
on,
There's not a lot.
bro.
And if anything, you can do it in 3 hours, 2 hours a day. If you're a day
Exactly.
trader, if you're a swing
Then what
trader,
you do?
sometimes it's even less. Right. What do you do? Right. You should have other
And
business. I recommend it
and
to people all the time, bro.
100%. And this is where I think people fall into, and I did the same. So I would find myself stalking EU, and I would just go, well, I'm a trader,
So I have to trade it. Right.
Yeah. And before you know it, you're doing all these things that are counterproductive, because people think more trades, more money. And it's the complete opposite. Like,
There's
it doesn't
diminishing
mean
return.
anything.
You cross a point where your decision making
Exactly.
sucks. And that on a daily, on a weekly, and you just go downhill. And
Oh,
every
bro.
decision you make, you look back on it, and you're like, that's not even me.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you'll see, it's like now I'm at a point where I can see my old me going, it's like my hands going to make the decision. And I'm just like,
Nope.
no.
Right. Been there too many
And
times. But that's it, bro.
yeah,
You got to touch the stove. Everybody has to touch it enough
100%.
to, right. Okay. So
100%.
now when you
So
go back to like look at some of these guys that you speak to on the internet, you recommend to them always have other streams of income. Don't go all in on
100%.
your trading, especially year 1, year
100%.
2, year 3.
100%, dude. It's like people always try and make, some people, whether they're trolls or whatnot, I never give them the time of day, but they always say, like, with the YouTube channel, they're like, oh, you're just a YouTube creator and that's it. And I'm like, bro, do you know what YouTube pays? Like, I'm not living off that. It's like,
Nothing.
I'll show you my AdSense. It's not that
I'll show you
great.
mine
And
too, bro. You and me could put our AdSense together. We still couldn't pay for 2 wheels on our car, bro.
Exactly. So I'm like, the YouTube for me is like a side project. It's building a brand, but it's building awareness to help people. It doesn't pay. And anyone looking to start YouTube, please don't look at Logan Paul and Jake Paul and think that's real, because it doesn't happen like that. Like, it's a different ball game. So you need,
maybe if you sell your
things.
soul and do a bunch of stupid shit, but if you're a normal person,
bro,
like, bro, it's not gonna happen.
It's not going to happen. And at the end of the day, you know, having one income anyway is always dangerous. And I think COVID should have shown everybody that, you know, no matter how
bro.
secure that
Hasn't
job
everybody
was.
heard Warren Buffett says the average, whatever they say, the average millionaire has 7 streams of income?
Exactly. But then you've got people out here who will have one, and then when you have 2, they're like, oh, you shouldn't do that. And it's like, look, if you can have the security of a job and you might have a good relationship with your boss, you might be able to work from home a few days a week. You might be able to get on the charts.
You finesse the fuck out of it.
Yeah, and you're getting a salary. So the trading it doesn't mean anything to you. It's just, I'm just going to give this a go. I'm going to see what happens. And then if it starts taking off and you start building the emergency fund, and it's a thing I always say, have 12 months of earnings behind you, man. Like,
always.
That shit goes quick.
6 months isn't enough, bro. I was raised to think 6 months. As an entrepreneur, me and my wife, we used to have a 6 month, and then I was like, this just isn't enough, because you never know when the business will take a down. You could have a down month in your business,
exactly, and it happens.
You could have and then down month in your trading, and you could, if you have a job, then you maybe get all these down things can happen at once, and then it can go very quickly. So 12 months.
And this is the thing, right? 12 months, slowly, if you can, decrease your hours perhaps, or whatever it might be. But then don't have the goal of, I want to be a full-time trader, because the biggest problem, and I've spoke to so many people on this, they go full-time and then they're like, my health's declined, or I'm actually lonely. I don't know what to do. My mental health impacted.
I would almost guarantee that happens.
And that's what I mean, because you've come from an environment where you have banter, you have a laugh, you're busy. There's people.
Not only that, bro, you come from an environment where if you work, you get paid. In trading, working as like clicking trades does not
Doesn't
always
mean
mean
anything.
you get paid. No, not
And
at
this is
all.
where I think that reward system of, you know, a job, you'll get told, right, if you go and do this, I'll give you £100. So you're like, oh, cool. Whereas in trading, you can put that trade on. It doesn't mean you get £100. You might lose £100. And I think
Bingo.
that mental switch was really difficult
It
because
is.
I'm quite a perfectionist in terms of I was raised through sports. I'm big into like the boxing, UFC, stuff like that, discipline things. And I'm very much like, things have to be perfect. My environment, clean, tidy. I can't do mess. So
Same.
with trading, I was like, I'm not losing. What do you mean? Like,
Of course not,
I'm
bro.
not
I've
going
been
to
right
lose.
about everything else in my life. Why would I be wrong
Yeah.
now?
And then, you know, I quickly realized, again, like I say, the market humbles you.
You
It's
have
a
to
game of
rewire,
losing,
bro. Yep.
but losing well. And when
Losing
you
well.
realize that shift and you just go, look, one of the big things for me was changing the way I saw trading. I say everybody, most people call themselves day trader, swing trader, intraday trader, scalper, right?
I know where you're
Now, the
going with
problem with
this,
that,
bro. We're like the same, bro. I feel like I'm talking to my brother. It's weird.
amazing. The language behind what you say is so powerful. So if you say, I used to call myself a day trader, it used to be my bio, it was everything. That term signifies to you that you trade every day. So if you don't do that, you'll feel
You're a
guilty, right? You're
failure.
like, I
Yep.
haven't traded, I haven't done my
Imposter
job.
syndrome.
Yeah. And then the missus might go, oh, how was trading? Oh, I didn't trade. Shit, she's gonna think something of me. Like, you start playing all these seeds in your head. But if you change the whole kind of text and context you put and just say, I'm a risk manager, that right there changed so much, because I was like, my
100%.
job is to manage the risk of said trade. It's got nothing to do with, can you make 8% today? Can you make, it's just, did you manage your risk? Yeah, cool, move on. You've got to make sure your losers are capped and your winners win. And at the end of the day, if your winners are winning and you're good with risk management and your losses, and you're not just going, oh, I'll have a stop loss here, and then it starts coming down and you just move it and move it and move it. Because when does that end, man? Like, margin calls you and says, yo, big man, you're done.
That's when it ends, brother. That's when it ends.
So, and
great
again,
advice. I tell people similarly, because I trade price in a way, but it's always a little bit of patterns. So instead of saying risk manager, which you definitely can say, I'm going to steal that and use that. I have always told people, stop saying you're a day trader, say you're a pattern identifier. I use that term because what I try to get people to understand is you don't know the outcome of the trade when you click the button. So stop trying to control the outcome, control the process. Identify the best pattern, identify probabilities in your favor, take the trade, put on the risk, manage it appropriately, and do that over a series of a lot of trades, thousands of trades. That's another thing. I'm sure you would agree, like telling these guys to look at their trades in that longer term vision. I tell them to look
100%.
at data points. Every trade is one little dot. It's no big dots. None of them are planets. They're little marbles. You know what I mean? You can't put too much weight. Dude, like I said, we're cut from the same cloth in so many ways. So let me transition here because we could keep going on that, but I want to get some other stuff too.
Yeah, no worries.
Talk to me about strategy specifically. Like, because you see on the internet now, SMC is the only way to trade. If you don't do that, you're like all these things about strategy. Talk a little bit about your strategy and maybe what you see on the internet that are like some of the misconceptions, the bad ideas.
Yeah, for sure, man. So I fell into the SMC bracket for sure. Early 2021 was a big one for me. And look, I made money with it, right? And the issue was when I made money with it, I had my own rule set.
SMC and ICT the same thing?
I would say so.
Okay.
There's gonna be someone that probably says no, but it's very similar. The only difference with SMC, which I believe ICT doesn't advocate, is SMC is about small stops, whereas ICT is more about like I believe a reasonable stop and 1 to 2, 1 to 3 kind of stuff. Whereas SMC was 1 to 50s, 1 to 60s. It was that kind of outrageous kind of thing, right?
Oh my God, bro.
And you know, I've done that at the beginning, but what's funny is my most profitable period with SMC, how I was trading, which was pretty much H4, M15, and M1 entries, was 1 to 3 to 1 to 5. I would just, it would run 1 to 3, 1 to 5. I'd be like, done. And that's when I would sit and just get paid. And I was doing that. However, around probably the wrong people at the time, the influence crept in of these people were doing 1 to 50, 1 to 60, 1 to 70. And that urge of seeing your trades go into 1 to 60 and being like, whoa, that would be like double my account nearly. Like you get in that element of I'm missing out. And this is what I want to talk about with online. I think social media is amazing, but you have to also remember that people are showing you a highlight reel, right?
Every time.
Now,
every time.
To get that 1 to 50, you might take 6 losses. Now,
and they'll never show you.
No. And can you take 6 losses on the chin and then hit the 7th,
Not
right?
many
Because at the
people,
end of the
bro.
day,
Not many
and if you
people.
can, you're going to put yourself in a pretty shit state of mind eventually, right? So I did that for a long period, but I had my own way of doing it. So it was, I would have a bit of a bigger stop. I would just get out. And sometimes, dude, I would say to people I'm in the trade, I'd got out. Like the people that were influencing me, like, I'll be like, yeah, I'm in, but I'm done. Like, I've locked my money in. I'm not bothered about you, but I was playing up. And again, that was just a poor identity that I held. But I did that for a long period. And then I guess now how I trade is pretty much, it's SMC, ICT, supply, demand, whatever you want to call it, but it's just based on liquidity. Where is the liquidity? Higher time frame. So getting a daily bias, it's been a big thing for me, like having a bias, but also then just identifying where are we headed on the market and just backing my bias, not being scared to have a 20 pip stop loss and be like, cool, if I'm positioned right, in theory, I should make
Should be
money.
fine. Right. How many
Yeah,
trades per week usually?
it can vary. Some weeks it could be like 3 or 4. Other weeks it could be 1 to 2. So I will only trade now. I only trade New York session. So I allow
Nice.
London to pretty much.
Why is that? You're in the UK. What are you doing?
Yeah, I know people find that funny. So it's only been a recent switch, but going over my data from my journaling for a long period, I've realized that London tends to set up quite a lot in a fake move.
It
And
does.
if I am in the fake move, what I don't want to be doing, especially because I'm trying to focus on risk, especially with hedge fund stuff, I don't want to be taking too many trades a day, right? I want to try and get in a trade and that's my trade. And if it doesn't work, I'm like, cool. And if I take a loss, I'm done for the day. Whereas in London, if I took a loss and then New York, it's set up, I'd sometimes be like, oh, but it might work. And I just thought, how can I eliminate that? The other thing is school runs with the kids. It's quite busy in the mornings. I like to go to the gym and get it done in the morning. And I don't want to be in the gym. There's nothing worse. And you're like, hang on, I've just got to manage
No,
my
bro, it's the
position.
worst. I hate it.
I just want to work out, man. I don't want to be
Yeah.
doing that. So
Yeah.
for me, that's pretty much how I trade now.
Okay.
It's a flavor of everything, but it's just liquidity concepts and understanding the direction to what I deem it to be. I could be wrong. I don't always get it right,
Of
but I
course.
understand that I'm more a 1 to 2, 1 to 3 TP, 1 to, like, obviously 1 loss, I'm
Do you
done.
trail stops? Are you taking profit along the way? What's your management style like?
So usually it's, if we go 1 to 1, I'll be the trade because I'm like, well, I'm at 1%, be the trade. It shouldn't retest. And then after that, it'll be 1 to 2 full TP. If I'm going for 1 to 3, I may partial it, say like an internal liquidity or external liquidity point.
Whatever structure point you see. Yeah.
Yeah, like a 65% off perhaps. Just so
Sure.
again, what you've got to remember, and I think Jade Cap said this on an interview recently, is if you're a break-even trader, try taking partials on your winning positions and you'll all of a sudden not be a break-even trader, because essentially a lot of
100%.
people's trades they're running right, but they might not get to their target. But if you took like a 30% off, at least you've locked in something. You've won, right? All of a sudden that journal is going to have wins and you're going to be like, oh, I'm profitable.
Yep.
It can do wonders for the mind. So I think for me, a big thing
100%.
for me is like, I will not allow myself to be in a position, and this just comes from trauma from doing it, where I'm running 1 to 3 and I take a loss. That will not happen anymore.
It's called a
It's
popcorn
not.
trade. That's what Peter
Yeah.
Brandt calls it. You can never let that happen. We have 2 trades. We have the popcorn trade that you take it and then it goes to 3R and you lose. Like you actually end red because you didn't lock your stop. Then we have one. So that was Peter Brandt. He's like a legendary trader, market wizard. He gets credit for that. But I give myself credit for coming up with the donut trade. So the donut trade is it goes 2-3R, you lock your stop, you don't take any profit, and then you end with a break even. You end with a nice donut. So we teach people no popcorn, no donuts. We cut the fucking junk food and we're looking for the better stuff. And what I've found too, I've had guys who will trade the same, like Tom, one of my business partners, will trade the A2 strategy. I'll take 75 to 90% profit at 1R and lock stop, and I'll run the rest. He was taking 50% partial at 1R and locking his stop. And because he was getting tapped on the other 50% at even, and then with his losses, he was taking full 1R losses, his profitability was much lower than mine. So I would even add to what Jade Cap said, and I would even say, like, get aggressive in profit taking, especially as a new trader. At least this is my push, 100%. And you tell me if you disagree. I think win. New traders win.
100%.
Have winning
100%.
weeks and winning months. Like, see some green. Then we'll talk about running for further. Then we'll talk about upping the position size. Get the green, bro. Consistency.
I think this is a great point, man. I love the analogy because I think at the end of the day, right, that I try and get this across to people without focusing on money too much. We are trading to get paid, right? There's not many people that wake up and are like, can't wait to stare at them candles, right? There's another reason, and the reason is we need to get paid. We have families, we have whatever it is. So if you're getting paid, you can't go wrong. And I think when people look at this, people like frown on 1Rs for instance, right? I have a lot of friends that do 1-to-1. They have a good strike rate. Bro, they're so profitable because they're just
So
like,
profitable.
they've gone over their trades and they've gone, 80% of my trades in the last quarter have hit 1-to-1. If I just took that, I'd be more, oh shit. And they've done that. And then their equity curves are just beautiful. And I think this is the problem is, look, you can do 1-to-5s, 1-to-10s. I've held 1-to-100s before, but you partial it so many times. By the time it's 1-to-100, you might as well have closed it at 1-to-10. It's
Right.
not worth it, right?
It's not worth it. Right. Because you're thinking about it, you're running it while you're
yeah,
sleeping.
you can't
Now you're not looking at
sleep.
new trades. Right. Right.
Exactly. So it's easier for me. I'm much more of a get in and I like to be out. Like even if I get in New York, I sort of stop trading around London close. I won't really take any new positions. By 6 o'clock, if I'm sitting down for dinner, I want to be out of the trade really. I don't want to be sitting here going, am I in, am I out? I don't want to be holding over spread. I just like an easy life. I just want to be able to trade. And then once I've put the trade on, I'm not a trader now. I'm going to be a dad. I'm going to be a partner. I'm going to do other stuff, work on other business stuff, because it's very easy to get consumed by trading. And then it's
100%.
almost like it consumes you. So then you can't get over the loss because it's such a big part of your life. You lose.
You can't
go to
let
bed
go.
thinking about it. You wake up thinking about it. You have arguments because you're in a mood and your missus might say something.
Great point.
It's not healthy
because you can't make yourself your trading. And like I'm sure you see it on the internet, like on Twitter and on Instagram, like these guys don't have a life. Like they act like trading is very important. We're not downplaying how serious this business, but like you are not your trading, no matter how much you want to be. People will remember you more for the man that you were than the trader you were, because you're going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to make a lot of money. That's going to be part of this business. That is what should happen. But what else are you doing? You know, I had Tom Basso. I don't know. He's on the Market Wizards list. He's been on the show. Great guy, bro. If you don't know him, I love his stuff. And because you've been talking a lot about lifestyle, you should look at what his stuff is. He ran a $300 million hedge fund back in the day, trades retail now. He lives in Arizona. Really nice guy, older dude, like 67, maybe pushing 70. He's an older guy. He calls himself a Renaissance man. And I want to be a Renaissance man. I want to be a father. I want to be a trader. I want to be a golfer. I want to take you on the boat. I want to play sports with you. I want to be able to play cards. I want to have intellectual debate. I want to be all these other things. I want to learn how to make wine. I want to learn how to, this is what life is about. Life is not just about trading. And that's what the internet makes us think it is. When you get lost in the Twitter wormhole, it's awful, right?
That's why it's so important as well. Anyone on Twitter, you know, follow a few people that you feel that you can connect with that are on the similar vibe, a similar lifestyle. Because one thing I want to throw in here, I won't be too long with this one, but I used to follow a lot of people that I looked up to that lived a very different life to me. And what I mean by that is if you're following someone that's single, 24, multimillionaire, can go to Bali whenever they want, do all these things, and you don't have that, you're a father, you have a family to care for, you're not in that position, you're going to start comparing to their lifestyle and why am I not that? But that isn't for you. So follow people that actually align with your life. And on Twitter, just block certain keywords that are full of negativity. And instead of looking at the for you at the top, just look at the following.
Yep.
Oh, it's so much easier. You don't have to see any drama.
No drama. I go to For You page and it's all prop firm drama. It's all chaos. This crazy. It's ridiculous. It's like, are you guys not trading or do you just get paid to tweet all day? Like this is ridiculous.
Well, now you can get paid for Twitter, can't you? You can get paid for impressions.
Oh my God, bro. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like stop rewarding people for being addicted to social media. Like have a fucking life.
It's bad, man. But I would say that's a big thing as well. Is everything.
It's a great point. You got to follow the right people. It's not being, you can't you try to, emulate or even take input from someone who is on a completely different path.
Be unique and your journey is your journey. And whatever someone says, experience it, give it a try, but test what someone says and see if it works for you. Don't just go, oh, he said that, I'm going to listen, or base it on he's got loads of followers, so I should listen to him. Because again, followers and value is completely misconstrued in this game. You can have 100%. A load of followers, but if you don't deliver value, then at the end of the day, what's the point? Like,
I would rather have someone on the show with less followers and more value,
100%.
More life experience. I don't care about your followers. Anybody that cares about followers nowadays, it's like that was social media 10 years ago. Like that's not social media nowadays. And if anything,
now it's changed.
Especially in our business, the people who have the least amount of followers sometimes, and I'm saying it as somebody who has a lot, the guys who have less followers than me sometimes are better traders, been trading longer, have more experience than me. It's crazy. So you cannot go by somebody's followers.
No, there's so many great things out there. And I think use social media as a tool to connect with people, like-minded individuals, and to listen to things like this, where it's two people just talking, man, just saying what it is. no
Right.
fluff.
You can't fake.
Just
Right. There's
speaking.
no cut scenes.
No, this is it.
No fluff. Right. Right. And like,
So,
I think what my audience has, if you read my comments, my audience smells it right away. Like I said to you before we started the recording, when somebody is not trading and they're just kind of giving rah versus somebody who's like yourself or me, like in the market every day.
Clear
like
as day, man.
Clear as day, bro. I mean, even here, how much have we talked about wins versus managing losses? Everything we've talked about today has just been managing losses. The wins are natural. They're going to come.
Yeah,
but then you have these other guys, bro, there's some Forex groups out there that say we never take losses. It's the literal opposite of what is good advice, like 180-degree
But
opposite.
this is what I mean about the image, right? So if you're someone like me, where I was started and I had a poor image, and you're filling your mind
but that's a lot of people, bro. It's not just you, it's a lot of people.
Exactly, right? So if you're filling your mind with all these images, you are immediately falling into that trap. So then your perception of what trading is completely skewed from what it actually is. Yep. And until you crash that bubble and go, look, man, this isn't what it is, it's this, you will forever be in the circle. And it's like you're on one of those merry-go-rounds and you can't get off. You've just got to get off.
Got to get off.
And then you'll start to see traction. But if you stay in the bubble of one day, I'm going to take 100 quid to £1,000,000, there's a very select few people that can do that and keep it, because the ones that have done it then lose it because they're not prepared in the identity they hold to manage that kind of money. And this is why I say, if you, in your mind, if you don't believe you can truly obtain wealth, you will always fuck it up.
Always. And you know what you just made me think of? Do you know Jesse Livermore?
Yes.
You know, he lost all of his fortune before he died. He's one of the most famous traders that we all speak about still. Yep. And he lost it all. He couldn't maintain it, like you just said.
This is what I mean. So, you know, are you in the right mindset to do this? It's all well and good seeing your favorite guru or influencer or person you follow managing £1 million, for example. But what did they have to do to get there? It doesn't mean you should go, I've got 5K in the bank, I could get $1 million in funding, I'm going to do it. Because if you're not mentally ready, even if you pass, you
just
get a
Venmo
big
me the
payout.
5K. Send me
I'll have it instead.
Please. I will do better with it than you will on that challenge. I promise.
Exactly. Like, and I think this comes down to, you have to be honest with yourself in trading, because I always say this, if you're trading and you don't have some kind of automated journal and you rely on journaling yourself, it's so easy to say your trading view, I took a loss. I can look around and go, nobody's watching, delete.
That was me the whole first 3 years of my trading. I would trade on the system. Dude. Right. I would have an idea of like, these are the rules I should follow. I would take those trades and document those trades. And then the losses, I'd be like, no, I was just testing something new. Literally, that was the justification I would give to myself.
Shit. Right. I did the same stuff, man.
How many people admit this? Like, I feel like I'm the only guy that, or you like, we're the only people that admit it.
Bro.
Right.
Yeah.
But that is then how I can now come full circle. Like you said, now I have TradeZella now that does all the automated stuff for us. That gives us
TradeZella is great, man.
Can't run from anything, bro. And if you just made people use that, where then they would see their negative performance and not be able to run from it, I bet you they would trade better in a shorter amount of time.
Oh, 100%.
But people just run from accountability. They run from
it. It's the problem, man. It's too easy a game. If you were in a proper brick and mortar trade floor and you had like a risk manager next to you and he was like, right, explain to me why you did that. You can't run from that, right? So you've got to go, I was feeling emotional. But in real life at home, you can go, I didn't take that trade.
And the problem in your pajamas, you can fuck off.
Yeah, but the problem is, like, those lessons where you actually journal and write, like, even next to me, I've got my journal, right? I write in this shit every day.
Sticks with you every day, bro.
Yeah. Like, even writing down 3 things I'm grateful for. And if, for example, today, it doesn't have to be woo-woo. I've wrote, I'm grateful for YouTube, I'm grateful for my mind and body, and I'm grateful for my family's health. That's my 3 things for today. But even doing that and then writing, I got in a trade and I did X, Y, and Z. I interfered. I felt emotional. You can read back through that at the end of every month and go, why do I keep feeling emotional? I can now dig into this and take action. But if you don't journal it, you're not going to remember it. And then you're not going to improve.
Yep.
So easy, man.
So true. So true. Bro, we could keep going for hours. I think I'm going to put a pin in it for today, because what I'd like to do, I don't know if you knew this, at the end of the episode, I asked for our listeners that stayed all the way through, go to YouTube or shoot me or Albert a DM. Let us know what questions, what topics you want to hear more about next time. I feel like we kind of covered a lot of important stuff. We didn't go too much into your story, Albert, because that's out there already. Like we said, we wanted to go in a different direction, but we touched the funding companies. We touched on a lot of psychology. So we touched on some of the good stuff, but I think the audience will still have some questions, I'm sure, for us for next time. So everybody, make sure you go to Spotify or YouTube and make sure you drop a comment or send, like I said, to me and Albert for review. And we'll make sure we do a part 2, Albert, maybe later this year after we meet in London in December, hopefully.
Yes, man. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be great.
Thanks, bro. But listen, I appreciate your time, bro. This has been awesome. You are awesome. I love your content. Wish you the best of luck the rest of the year. Let's have a good, strong end together to 2023. And for everyone that's listening, watching, whatever you're doing for the pod, make sure you check the description. I'm going to put Albert's social media links down there. Even though we're both not the biggest fans of social media, you still want to follow him. He does a great job with the content, like I said many times today. So check that out. But for now, we'll pin it. Dude, of course, of course. Thank you, Albert. Thank you, listeners. Make sure you guys subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Take care. Thank you very much for having me on.